expose yourself.
Show 'em what you're all about. Dragged out.
Before Vanjie and before we had the whole Valentina lip sync fiasco, you had one of the memes of the season. So my one question to you is, was there actually something on your face?
So there's something on my face.
Yeah.
Well, she was just looking at me like there was. I had to ask.
So she had to ask.
I had to ask.
But that moment ended up becoming something so big and, you know, seen amongst everybody. And then you talked about it recently in Hey Queen.
She turned to me and she said, "Nothing you say matters unless that camera is rolling."
Which then turned into this big whirlwind of lots of different things, you know, different outlets picking things up. And then I heard that you had a producer call you and say that you're not going to be on All Stars or asked back on, you know, Drag Race at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you regret saying what you said, or do you still feel the same way, or what's your feelings on that whole situation now?
I don't know. I mean, it's just unfortunate. I think it's unfortunate because that was such a defining moment, and it's like not necessarily a moment that should define me.
Correct.
You know, I've had like more than one party promoter like invite me to do a show, and they said at the end of the gig, like, "Wow, this was such an amazing experience. I didn't know what it was gonna be like," you know, because apparently I came off as such a specific kind of, like in such a weird way, I guess, on TV that people didn't really get to know who I
Who
am,
Yeah.
who I actually am, which is like great, you know. I am not a very high maintenance diva queen who's out. I'm like kind of a good time girl. So it was just been interesting trying to navigate getting out of that like character.
Correct.
That was built around me, I guess.
And then after all of that controversy happened and the Hey Queen stuff happened, and you did have queens that did come out and support you, and you did have people that did say that, you know, that is technically what happens on the show.
Well, way more queens, you know, had discussions with me in private than they did publicly.
That's nice.
You know, of course. You know, I don't blame every like drag queens for not coming out publicly and saying anything. You know, I get it.
Do you feel, I know that recently, like also on Instagram, you said that you would go back on an All Stars, and you said that you would win. Do you,
well, I mean, I was just talking shit.
But I mean,
you
it's
know.
true. Do you think that that bridge can be repaired? Do you think that there's a possibility in the future?
I mean, it's not anything that I'm like thinking about. It's fine. Like I feel like I'm doing the best. I'm doing great things for myself, regardless of Drag Race. I like the idea of being an artist who is independent of like a big commercial production that is a show like Drag Race anyway. So I'm not vying. I wouldn't vie to be on Drag Race again. But I mean, it was an amazing experience, and I do feel like I've grown exponentially since the show. And it's kind of a shame for someone like me to not be on it.
Correct.
You know, but I mean, it's not something that I'm crying about or wishing like things could be different.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything's cool.
I mean, it was pretty cool too, because you did make top 3.
Yeah.
You did end up, you know, being able to tour the whole world. You're literally seen by so many people because you made it so far.
I know, and I do not have any like bad things to say about Drag Race in that regard. Like, I'm so grateful to Drag Race.
For sure.
I am not stupid. I know that I have all of these things because of Drag Race. You know, I think like things got a little misconstrued when I was just being open and honest about my experience.
And I mean, it is a reality show too. You know, and I think that that's a thing that a lot of times people forget, especially the Twitter world, especially the people that, you know, are the fans now. You know, I think that people forget it is a reality show. And, you know, you guys have a totally different experience than what is technically seen through the eyes of somebody.
Yeah.
And I think that people forget that a lot.
Yeah, they do. I mean, like at the time it was it was just kind of like, for some reason, it was just kind of like hard for me to swallow that this is the way that it has to be on set, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. It was just weird. It felt a little bit heavier in that moment.
Yeah.
In that time than maybe it would feel now.
It's kind of like, from what I'm hearing from you saying, it's kind of like you were expecting more of like a Big Brother experience where like the cameras are fully on you 24/7 and whatever plays.
I don't know what I was expecting. Nothing shocked me about being on set except for the way RuPaul acted, which was very unusual. She was a very unusual behaved person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. It's all good.
Have you heard from Ru since the show, or heard from her since the comments?
No, of course not.
Do you think that she keeps in contact with anybody?
She texted me and was very upset.
Yeah?
And she really...
She FaceTimed you.
Yeah, she showed up at my house, you know. She hacked all of my Instagram accounts. She hacked my emails.
RuPaul was your hacker.
She was my hacker.
She was your hacker. So you make top 3.
Yeah.
Did you think that you were going to make it to the top 3? When you walked into the workroom the first day, what did you think?
I don't know. It was like, honestly, well, at this point, it was like 5 years ago. It was like a really long time ago. And I was just kind of like blacked out with nervousness and anxiety the entire time. So I was in kind of like a dreamlike state the entire time I was filming. It just was a really bizarre thing. I don't know. I was never comfortable. You know, you look at other queens and it's like they've never been more comfortable than being on set of Drag Race. Like, you know, Bob the drag queen, for instance.
Yeah.
He's like thriving in that environment, but I just never felt comfortable. There was a nail. See, it's a sign.
It's a sign.
Yeah. I think people think that I couldn't like handle the whole showbiz thing, you know, like, oh, nothing you say matters unless the cameras are rolling. Well, that showbiz, get over it. It's like, oh, I can definitely handle that. I think it's like RuPaul's Everybody Say Love message just being a complete farce. That was kind of the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, it was just a complete 180 from what you had seen on TV and what you
Well, it's like they say, never meet your heroes.
Exactly.
So it was like that experience. She wasn't like this enlightened individual, this queer like icon in that moment to me.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like I don't think you are that enlightened, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you would say that in that kind of situation.
That stinks though. It's like
It doesn't. It's fine. Like, I can handle that. It just was a letdown in the moment.
In the moment, yeah.
She's fine. I'm sure she's not, you know, a monster, but my idea of her changed in that moment.
Expose yourself.